Hello, all. It is good to see you. For those of you who don't know, I'll be your pastor for the night because I happen to be pastor of the church. So it's good to be with you guys. I don't get to see you. I am. Today, at least for today. And I hear we're talking about relationships, which is always a fun topic. So let's break the ice. Let's turn to somebody, look them deeply in the eyes. Go ahead. Yes, very good. You're going to look at me? You're going to say it to me? All right, and say, I love you. Come on, say it. I love you. I love you. I love you. Come on. Come on. You gotta want it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take the heart. It is good. Isn't that really what it's like, though? It's like when you're thinking it, at some point in your life, there's going to be a moment where you're wanting to say those three words, all right? More than likely, at some point in your life, you're going to want to say those three words, and you're going to be hoping, just like this, that other person, because you've now put the risk out, you put the risk out to say those words, and you're going to hope that they're going to say, I love you back. Right? You're going to hope for that in your own life. Maybe some of you have already experienced that moment. Maybe you've already got somebody, like you've been in a dating relationship, and you get to that place where it's like, I'm gonna say the words, and you finally get the courage to be able to work them up, and then finally you say them, and hopefully what you got back was, I love you right back, that you'll get that to be able to experience. All right, so I want everybody to say before. So, before, all right? The whole point of this series, the whole point of your parents, the whole point of these small groups, your small group leaders, is to get you to a place where as you're thinking about your life in terms of direction, relationships, faith, all of those things, is that you have a good foundation that it's built on, right? That all those things are sort of woven together into one before. And if you think about it, that's been the story of your life up to this point, all right? Any calculus students in here? Calculus, any? And trig, keep going down. I'm going to keep going down. How about geometry? Okay, which one was that? Trig? Are you at trig level? Yeah, sort of getting in that range, right? Geometry, all right. So before geometry was algebra. Before algebra was pre-algebra. Before pre-algebra was, I'm going it's up a little higher from that, all right? Right. So, but what type of math, right? So you had this thing, probably like this horrible thing that I was horrible at, fractions, right? Remember those things? Remember fractions? Yeah. Oh, they are the best. What are you talking about, right? Before fractions, you do things like division. Before division, you do multiplication. Before you do multiplication, you're learning your addition and subtraction. Before that, you're learning how to count, right? That word before is the story of our lives. And you're trying to grow and to develop into the things that you know how to do, the things that you can understand, that you can sort of wrap your mind around. And before you love, you are loved. You're loved. You're loved by God. You're loved by your parents. You know what your parents used to do for you? Any idea? Like when you were a baby, you ever seen like a baby and somebody's like patting them on the back? And they're doing the burping thing? And then stuff used to come out of your mouth. Okay, so like they used to burp. Yeah, see, yeah. Brianna, oh my gosh, right in the middle of church, just blip, all over the back. Your parents taught you how to tie your shoes. Yes, well, I know you're still working on it. You're. Yeah, yeah, I did. A matter of fact, I'm the one who created the bunny ear tie, right? That's what you did? You created how to tie the bunny ears, the two loops, right? Because you're that amazing. that, there are no laces, that is true. That's the story, guys. The idea of before. And so for the before for us, before you get to the place where you're actually making relationships and who you might say the words that we talked about at the beginning, I love you. Before you get there, we want you to have the foundational level. We want you to have the ability to count, to be able to do addition and subtraction, to be able to do multiplication, to be able to do division, fractions, and suddenly you're getting up to the place where you're now at the age where you can start to make decisions about who you're going to relate to, or who you're not going to relate to, and who you're going to commit to, or who you're not going to commit to, right? That's sort of the stage that you're at this point. So, we're going to look at a little letter from the Apostle Paul, and what Paul did. Paul, you've heard of the Apostle Paul, right? All right. So he's written a bunch of letters in the New Testament. He's got this one that he's written called Ephesians, and in it, he's sort of talking about the love of God, the love of one another, how to live better lives. And if you sort of take it just from a dating perspective, it's just going to be one little sentence, and it's sort of building on what we're talking about here. Here's what it says. It's Ephesians 5:15. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as the wise. So what's the word wise mean? That was a good one. Wise means wisdom. So what's wisdom? Knowledge through experience. Yeah, so is that popping up on the screen too? I thought maybe you were reading it. Because just in case we didn't have it, I do have the definition so that we can all be wise together, because I don't know. Go ahead and throw it up there, Sir Jonathan. There we go. Having or showing experience, knowledge, and, oh my gosh, good judgment. You did say it first. You said it first. You like moved to the top of the class. Were you on the language arts side then? During the both and thing? You didn't choose math over the other one? Yeah. So here's the problem. What happens sometimes is you have that feeling where you're like, if you've experienced this love where you're like attracted to somebody else, you get this sort of weird feelings going inside of you. You get the butterflies. Your mind goes out of mind. You have out-of-body experiences. It's like all you can do is fixate on this one person, and suddenly all that matters in the world is whoever that is, whoever that person. This is my story, but so I probably shouldn't be the one talking about this, because like I was one of the people, like when I fell for a girl in like high school, it's like I fell for the girl in high school. And I had to get to the place where in time, you'd sort of give up on your friends, all right? Because you're so focused on the love of your life that you forget about the friends that are in your life. And it moves from this whole idea of interest in a person to having an obsession about a person. And that's the only person you can think about. That's the only person you can talk about. It's the only person that matters in your world. And so you sort of start to let other stuff go. And I had to learn over time. Some of my friends actually came up to me and were like, hey, remember us? Remember us? And so I used to have time where I'd have dating with my girlfriend. And then I'd finish up and I went to this wonderful gourmet restaurant called Denny's afterwards. Yeah, because Denny's was open late. The one up at Largo High School, is that still there? Denny's still there? Okay, so that was my hangout, okay, when I was in high school, because I went to Largo High School, and when we would finish, after I'd have finished the day to drop her off, and I would go out and meet my buddies, and we'd meet at Denny's, and I'd get a chocolate milkshake and french fries. And that sort of started to bring a little bit of balance back into saying, get past the obsession, get to the place where there's interest, where you're interested in her, but she's not the only thing in your life. She's not the only thing going on. So that sort of became my story as I was going along. So if we thought about interest versus obsession, the curriculum actually gave me some questions to ask you. And you have to sort of come up with what's the difference, all right? So here's question number one. Are you ready? This is a test. All right, so following someone on Instagram, interest or obsession? Interest, right? These become pretty obvious. I'm like, wow, these are really tough questions. All right, checking their Snapchat story constantly and consistently all day to see if they posted something new. All right? So I won't ask. Has anybody done that? Anybody done that? Like man, what are they up to? What are they up to? All right. Saying hey to them when you happen to bump into them in the hallway. Interest. All right. Okay, so that's the second question. Dude, you get a fist bump because that's the second part. The second. All right, so what I'm hearing here, by the way, for me, this is Frank, by the way, because he's Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra right there. So Frank, we're going to talk afterwards. That's all I'm saying. All right, we're going to talk afterwards because the next question is being late to your next class because you went out of the way to get in their path. All right? So that's the difference between. Just saying. That's commitment. That's commitment. What I hear is I'm making a sacrifice for them, right? I'm willing to take a risk and be late and get a tardy. I'm like, okay, no, that's obsession. Just saying. Just saying. All right, so let's see. What's the next one? Sending someone a good night text. I found this one interesting. I'm like, I don't know. For me, that's sort of like a place of like, so like, I'm interested in a person. Confessional moment again. All right, so you have to go back. You have to throw back into, she was saying that song was old, right? Okay, I'm taking you back. I'm taking you back. I'm not taking you back to 2005. I'm taking you back. Okay, so back is the 1980s, okay? Okay, so this is my high school days, 1980s. And for, you're laughing at me because I'm old? Oh my gosh. You know what? I'd get down there and sit with you, but I can't because it hurts my knees. All right? So, right there. All right, so you go back to the 1980s and dating and stuff like that. For me, when I look at this like this interested, I was scared to ask a girl out myself. Okay, so I would have a best friend, okay? Anybody else? Yes, the wing person, all right? Because we have to, all right? So you have the wing person that would be the person that would actually say, hey, do you like Richard? You know? And then if they said yes, then I knew it was safe for me to go and say, hey, right? Okay, and it wasn't like that at all because I was still terrified and I'm probably sweating like you were as you went up to talk, right? So to see this and say like, I'm going to send a text message to somebody at their bedtime, like, hey, good night. That's it. You need to be, there's a little bit of, versus the next one, however, which I thought was a little very strange and disturbing, having someone's face printed on a pillow. That's clearly that's interest. That's interest. Because you want to make sure you don't forget what they look like. That's all, right? Right? No. I'm thinking the needle has crossed just a little bit over into obsession if you're getting the pillow printed onto the face. So yeah, that was a little bit far and wide as well. Guys, you're reaching that age. You're reaching the age where you're going to have opportunities to be able to connect with people you like. And it's going to be awkward. You're going to say weird things. You're going to stumble and you're going to bumble. You're going to do awkward things. I had a girl, I had a little Honda 50, so a little mini bike, all right? It was you know how big they were. Like this, a little dinky motorcycle, okay? Little Honda 50, little vroom vroom, all right? Little gas-powered mini bike. And it was up at my mom's house. My parents were divorced. So I went up, this is like Homosassa Springs. And I go up there, and I'm close to this height at this time. She was taller than I was, okay? Her name was Dawn. And I'm like, hey, you want to ride on my motorcycle, right? That's a Honda 50, right? And so we get on the motorcycle, the little mini bike, and I get on there, and I'm like, and she's got her arms around me, and the seat's about this big, okay? So I'm like, oh, this is the best thing over. Oh, this is awesome. And then we hit a bump. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Suddenly, it's like, and arms fell off. I'm like, there's no arms there. And I'm like, helmet? Oh, come on. Back then, no, you rode bikes without helmets. You did all kinds of weird stuff. Yeah. And apparently mini bikes. So she falls off, and I look backwards, and she's just splayed out on the ground like this with her head looking up at me. Needless to say, this relationship did not continue too much longer past that point. It was a relationship. I mean, come on. She had her arms around me. No, she went all the way to Homosassa Springs with me. I had a car at that time, right? So I drove all the way to Homosassa Springs, probably like 16 years old, rode the mini bike, and literally dumped her. Right? Just saying. It was bad. It's very bad. your parents. So my kids are all grown up, right? So my daughter's 30, my son is 26 now, and they grew up here. And it's neat to see them now with people that they love, that they've gotten to a place where they're in stable relationships. Give yourself permission. I think when they're talking about the whole idea of interest versus obsession, the reality is that the person that you're connecting with now may not and most likely will not be the person that's the person, right? So not to get to a place where you're so obsessed with that person that you think it's the end of the world. Have relationships where you're connected with somebody. Don't lose your relationships to your friends, and enjoy high school. Enjoy getting to know different people and connecting with different people and learning different stuff from everybody that you meet, rather than getting tied down into one where you're locked in and saying nothing's ever going to change. That said, here's the weird part of my story. First girl I dated, her name's Linda. Now, there's, just so you know, there's more than one Linda in the world. Okay? No, come on. What? Yeah, I know. We each have our own unique names. It's like, anybody read Aragon? Nah, apparently not. So, yeah, everybody has their own unique name. So Linda is the first girl that I dated. I was 16 years old. She was 14. I just got in my car. And when we used to go for dates, this is back when they had cars. The front seats had one big long bench, right? So it didn't have like individual seats. And so she still sat way over there, and I still sat way over here. We barely said a word to each other the whole ride. And then I would go home and, thank you, bye bye. And she would get out, and I'd head off to Denny's. She's now my wife. So Linda, I circled back. So she's not the only girl I dated, but she's the first girl I dated, and became the last girl that I dated, which is always an interesting story. So you don't know for sure, but give yourself permission to realize that right now it's okay. It's okay to try and meet different people. Don't become obsessed with a person, and give yourself permission to have relationships with others. That makes sense? So don't just get locked in and feel like, that's the one. Give yourself the ability. Yeah, clearly. It's Kayla. All right, I think you're going to be going to your groups. You're going to talk a little bit about this whole interest and obsession stuff, to be able to have a little time together. But thank you guys for letting me be with you tonight. Who did I see in were you in confirmation this morning? Yeah. You're in confirmation. You're in confirmation. You were not in confirmation. You are a liar. You were not in confirmation. So I'll be connecting with you guys, like I said, for when you guys go on your retreat, and as well as beach night. And I hope that the rest of you for confirmation beach night can be there as well, if that's not already scheduled, just to be there to support, realize maybe you've already walked that journey, and be with them and show them what community and really, really good relationship looks like. Thanks, guys.